And we're back. If you clicked on this video, you are having trouble staying on your diet, I would assume, just because you clicked on the title. Now, we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to go through some methods that I use with my client, and it may not work for everybody, and it really may help with some people. So take whichever method you want to run with and apply it. Let me know if it works. If I do not discuss something that you've tried and it works, leave it in a comment below. I would love to learn from you. Now, when it comes to the diet, we're firstly going to talk about the structure of a diet. I'm not going to dive deep into this because we could get lost in this. And this alone could be a crazy video on its own, just the type of diets that are out there. I'm going to summarize one thing when it comes to your diet. Whether you are doing carnivore diet, keto diet, a vegan diet, a paleo diet, understand that all of these fad diets, these popular diets, they all have one thing in common. And that one thing in common is it eliminates a major macronutrient out of the diet. So carnivore diet eliminates carbohydrates and some other sources of fats. While it's still getting fat source within the meat itself, it is saturated fat, but it is eliminating a major macronutrient such as a carbohydrate. You take the keto diet, it is mainly protein and fats. It is eliminating another major macronutrient, which is a carbohydrate. You take the vegan diet, it is primarily just carbohydrates, some fats in there, and you're majorly just taking out protein out of the diet. Although you're trying to get protein throughout the diet, always going to come with a high other source such as fat and carbohydrates, which is kind of why a lot of people actually struggle losing weight on a vegan diet. But to summarize, all of these diets eliminate a major macronutrient. The thing in common is just eliminating calories. So if you're doing a balanced diet, counting calories through a macro tracker or whatever, you are just eliminating calories. So in order to lose weight through a mathematical equation, you just have to be in a caloric deficit. Now, I hope you have that figured out. I will not go into that because, again, that is a whole nother math calculation video that I could put up later if you guys wanted to. But there are plenty of apps, BMI apps or BMR apps, MyFitnessPal. Carbon does a great job of calculating your BMR, and that will put you in a caloric deficit. So talking about those diets and being in a caloric deficit, and let's say you've been dieting for a while, but you just cannot seem to break the diet. One thing that we need to talk about before we go into habits and all of the methods that will help you out is going to be freaking out on the scale weight. Freaking out on the scale weight means, let's say you're weighing yourself every day. You step on the scale and you've been dieting for weeks, let's say 3 weeks, for example, and maybe you've lost 2 pounds, but you just can't seem to get another pound off. Weighing yourself every day can have its troubles. It will make you mentally fatigued over time if you are struggling to lose weight. And then also you may not be accounting for maybe sodium, salt that you've eaten in your meals. Sodium pulls water with it, which is going to create water retention. If you're female, your menstrual cycle is going to create water retention. When I coach females, I actually don't have them weigh themselves during their menstrual cycle because it will mentally mess with them because your body retains water for the however many days it is going through that menstrual cycle. So when you are on your menstrual cycle, you are going to weigh heavier. Just small things like that. Let's say you're not drinking enough water. That's probably one of the biggest things I do with my clients. I just try to have them measure their water, and I keep it really basic, a gallon a day. Once they drink a gallon of water a day, their weight is way more regulated. We could pin it down to a pound or so fluctuation throughout the week. So if you're not drinking enough water, your body stores more water for survival. If you're stepping on the scale and your weight is really all over the place with like 3 or 4 pounds, either has to do with your sleep cycle, your water cycle, menstrual cycle, and maybe overconsumption of sodium. So those are things that you need to take into account and have those regulated so you could get proper measurement when you're stepping on the scale to weigh yourself in the morning. Little fluctuations are absolutely normal. 1 to 2 pound fluctuations are normal. That's, again, it depends on your sleep, water, and stress, and also how hard you worked out. So if you train legs one day and then the next day you step on the scale, I guarantee you're going to be heavier because that damaged muscle tissue is going to store water again as a survival mechanism for healing itself. Train legs and step on the scale the next day and you're heavier, don't freak out about it. That's perfectly normal. So I say all those things because it's something that you need to get regulated. And it's also something that actually causes people to break their diet really frequently because they feel as though they're not making any progress. And you have to understand that weight loss is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It happens over time. So whether your math calculations have you at a loss of 1 pound a week or 2 pounds a week, depending on how severe your deficit is. Those weight fluctuations within the 1 to 2 pound range are absolutely normal. And those other things that you need to regulate should be on track, so it's not mentally beating you up. Again, people will break their diet or just completely fall off their diet because they feel as though they're not making any progress because of how the scale is reflecting in the morning. So those are all aspects that I could talk about in another video, like how to properly weigh yourself and stuff like that. But let's get to the main topics of why you came to this video: methods on how to stay on your diet. Now, when it comes to day-to-day eating, this is going to be pretty basic. It's probably going to be pretty mundane. This depends on how your diet is created, right? If you're doing a very strict regimen, like let's say you're doing a classic style bodybuilding regimen or chicken and rice and broccoli or whatever, there is a reason why people prep their meals. People prep their meals because it's going to make them not only eat their food the next day, like if you're prepping the night before, you're going to eat your food the next day. It stops you from buying food because you know it's already prepped. You already put the time and work in to make that food, so you are going to want to eat that food. That's a big reason why people who are very strict on a diet regimen prep food. It eliminates the need to go out and buy food, or I would say it eliminates that need of an excuse. You know, oh, I didn't prep my food. Let me just go to wherever. Let me go pick up fast food. That's initially what a lot of people do. The basic one is out of the way, is just simply prepping your food. Don't give yourself an excuse to go out and eat. Be more disciplined with yourself. Crack down. Prep your food the night before. Take 20 minutes out of your day before you go to bed. Prep your food. Throw it in the fridge. When you wake up, and if you're going to work, snatch it out of the fridge and you're good to go for the day. And this video is sponsored by Granite NeuroStim. Granite is an amazing supplement company. This is the pre-workout I use. Since I am not a huge fan of caffeine, this is a great low dose form of caffeine. It's only 180 milligrams per serving to give you a great workout without the freaking jitters. Stop taking the big old pre-workouts that give you the nose and forehead itch. Take NeuroStim. Use my code SAM10. The link to the website is in the description. Click on that. Save you guys some money, pick you up some NeuroStim. Now the next one is a vacation method. I do this with a lot of clients because normally people will hire me to get them slimmer for a vacation. Normally they'll just keep me as their coach throughout. When it comes to a vacation, so hypothetically, let's say you go on a vacation for 4 days, 7 days, whatever, and you say, hey, how should I be doing this? Like, I don't want to just blow up in 7 days. So with that being said, the best option that I could tell people is kind of, you got two options actually. Option number one is you can go keto. This is one where you could just do like protein and fats and eliminate the carbohydrates out of the diet, because normally with the carbohydrates brings a little bit of more bloating. So if you're like wanting to look good in a swimsuit, you would pull the carbohydrates back so you're not holding a bunch of water and you look a little bit leaner. You also, it's also a good plan if you're going to be drinking alcohol. Alcohol is its own macronutrient where it's 7 calories per gram, but I'm sure you heard of them being called empty calories. They hold no nutritional value. Being taken into consideration, you would treat alcohol as a carbohydrate if you are going to drink. What you can do also is just eat protein and fats during the day, and then if you're going to party during the night, use the calories from the carbohydrates that you didn't eat and save them for the alcohol later at night, which would offset a lot of things. You're just basically keeping yourself in a caloric deficit every day when you're on vacation and still allowing yourself to have a good time with friends and family. Now the next one we're going to get into is events. This is another popular one, especially with Thanksgiving coming out. All of my clients, Thanksgiving's tomorrow. A lot of my clients texted me today and say, what are we doing for tomorrow? There's, again, two options that you could do for this. Everyone chooses the second option. So option number one, a little bit more portion control. So option number one, I call it the 1 plate rule. So if you know that you're going to go somewhere for a party, it's your birthday, an event, a holiday, whatever, you know that you may get a little crazy and just enjoy yourself too much. The thing here is to be mentally aware, meaning you're going to plan your whole day around that event. So you know that you're going to go to, let's say, Thanksgiving. This is where you only eat protein. So like for breakfast, let's say you wake up, you have a meal that's just protein, let's say just egg whites. You know, second meal, whatever, or lunch, you just have steak or chicken. You eliminate the carbohydrates, you eliminate the fats. And then when you do go to Thanksgiving, you just do 1 big plate and then you do 1 small plate of dessert. So you're still getting to enjoy everything. People aren't beating you up because you're refusing to eat or something like that. You're allowing yourself to enjoy the food that your family made or the event or wherever you're at, and you're socializing and bonding over the same ingestion of food, so to speak. And then after that event, you could continue on eating protein throughout the day. Option number 2, this is the one everyone chooses. Option number 2 is it's basically a form of intermittent fasting. You basically just fast. You don't eat anything. You just do like water, coffee until the event happens. So like, let's say Thanksgiving, and then you kind of just go hog wild, I guess, is what you would want to do. You eat till you get full and stuffed, and then you eat dessert, and then after that, you don't eat again. Ideally, you would want to do a 24-hour period. Let's say Thanksgiving was at 2 o'clock, right? Let's say you finished eating at 2 o'clock. I wouldn't eat again until 2 o'clock the next day. That way you allow for proper digestion, which will be over and done with. Your stomach will feel flat again. You know, you'll wake up with that morning skinny feeling and stuff like that. And the next day you won't have so much guilt, which is what eats away at a lot of people when it does come to events or Thanksgiving. It's just that guilty feeling, because one day a year is not bad if you are preparing for it, if you are smart about it, and if you keep yourself in really good shape. One day a year is not going to harm you at all. If you are obese and you are struggling with it, then this is a better approach for you to do. And then also one thing I want to add, when it does come to Thanksgiving and Christmas, don't abuse exercise. That's actually a bad form of bulimia, where let's say you go hog wild on Thanksgiving and then the next day you do like 2 hours of cardio. That's actually punishing yourself, and it's terrible for your mentality. I would not encourage you to do that. If you do have a workout routine or cardio routine, just keep it the same. You don't got to go out of your way and change stuff like that. Just don't beat yourself up about it. There's a third option that I wrote down, and it is a deficit rule. I would say this one is the better approach out of all 2 of those. To be honest, this is a little bit stricter. So if you've been on your diet for a while, you know everything that's going on, and you know how to change the calculations on your diet or just pull calories down. A really good option, which you can do 5 days before, 4 days before, is just put yourself in a further caloric deficit, meaning you're eating less 3 to 4 days before the event. Like, so hypothetically Thanksgiving, you're eating 3 to 4 days of lower calories before the event, putting yourself in a caloric deficit where you're losing body fat. And then that one day you really just enjoy yourself. You just take a break from dieting so you don't feel guilty. You know, you've already planned ahead. That takes a little bit of mental stress off of yourself as well. And then the next day you weigh fine, or there's nothing wrong with your weight. You go back to your normal diet or your normal maintenance caloric intake. Or if you're a little bit higher on the scale and you're like, I need to be cautious of this, I need to bring this weight down, you just put yourself in that same caloric deficit for another 2 to 4 days, if that's what you want to do. And then within a week's time, literally nothing has happened to you. You got to enjoy the food, you got to enjoy the time with your friends and your family, and you had a blast. And then you just repeat that method when it comes to Christmas time or the event of New Year's, what have you. So those are all the methods that I use with my clients. It helps them out greatly. I hope it may have helped you out if you're watching this video. If you have figured out another way or a method that you use, please, again, leave it in the comments below. I would love to see and learn and see if there's new tricks that I could apply, help with my clients. And if you guys are interested in any of my coaching, I am a nutritionist. The link to my website is in the description for signups. I'm able to produce diets on the same day as signups, so whenever you guys are ready, I'm here for you. And anything that you need to work with on your nutrition goals, I am here for it. I work with people from bodybuilders to MMA fighters, marathon runners to stay-at-home moms. If you guys are interested in my programs, click on the link below. It'll direct you to my website to sign up. And for that one, I'm out of here, guys.